Hey guys, this is Impact Hall of Famer Gail Kim, and you are watching the Countdown City WrestleCast.
What's up, heels and baby faces? Welcome to another episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm your host, JC, and I am joined this week by Tommy.
Yo!
And fresh off his drunken celebration of Cesaro's tag team win and his birthday, we got Mike.
Mike. And this is 2020, a great year. The champion. What else is there to complain about? Best year ever.
Well, I mentioned...
The second Cesaro won the tag team titles, Mike didn't care what happened about the rest of this year.
Nope.
Guys, I'm going to miss tomorrow, okay? Oh, my God. Yeah, he says that about this year, and then the adventure he had on his birthday. I call him on his birthday. Hey, how's your birthday going? What are you doing? Evacuating? Because they were in Corpus for the week, and here comes Hannah.
How many people get to say on their birthday they were chased by a hurricane? Not many.
I don't think that's something people had as a goal, but anyway. But when I heard on the news there's a hurricane going, I was like, I think Mike's down there.
Yeah.
that really, I was like, and I said to myself, that really sucks. Oh my God.
My sister was in South Padre with her family. They had to get out too. So yeah.
Oh damn.
There was a little Darby Allin in us that were like, maybe we can ride this through. But not that much. Not enough.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you made it out. Everyone affected by the hurricane, and I have a lot of family in the affected area. We're all thinking of you. Hope the recovery goes well. It's always scary when one of these things blows through, but...
Yeah, for sure.
For us, our Twitter account is at @CCG_WrestleCast, and subscribe here, the Countdown City Geeks YouTube channel. Today, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We'll talk a little bit of wrestling news, but then we're going to be ranking the cinematic matches in wrestling. We got 14 of them here listed going all the way back to Halftime Heat. Y'all remember that one?
You're damn right I do.
Yeah. So, obviously, there's some we might have missed in there, a.k.a. just about everything Lucha Underground did for so many years. But
didn't Lucha Underground count as a cinematic promotion?
As a promotion, basically.
Right.
I should have just put Lucha Underground here as a list, but yeah.
So Lucha Underground is an honorary mention as just a cinematic promotion.
Yeah.
A good point.
And that's in English and Spanish for them, too. So,
you know what? Now that I think about it, Wrestling Society X qualifies for that, too.
That's true. They did get a bit cinematic with it.
Yep.
That's true, yeah. So we got 14 we're going to list. We'll get to that in a minute, and then we're going to kind of rank them and see which one we think are like our overall rankings for the cinematic matches, because that seems to be all the craze of WWE this year, right? And in wrestling in general.
Yeah.
Before we jump into that, there's a lot of wrestling news that's happened since we recorded last week. Mike, glad you're back. The hangover is over. What do you want to say, first of all, about Cesaro's tag team win with Shinsuke Nakamura?
It was the best thing ever and the best year ever, obviously. No, honestly, it was nice to see he's getting a little bit of a, resurgent push, at least. They're giving him, little Mike time where he's just able to basically say, I'm tired of the way I've been treated. And I was also honestly surprised they didn't take the belts right back off in the next show, because they like to do that. So.
Yeah.
To be fair, I didn't know what was going to happen on SmackDown either. I was like, okay, this is going to be like a one-day title reign.
That would be horrible.
I mean, they would.
They would, yeah.
Do you foresee, based on the promo he delivered, which is a little more of his true feelings, and I think there's an interview he's working on his mic work, do you think they're going to run with this with him having the titles for a while with Nakamura?
I mean, it's WWE, so you can never say anything for sure, but from what I understand, because I'm also going to kind of be honest, and I'll talk about this a little bit in the 1 minute warning, I didn't really watch everything this week. But I come to understand from reading stuff that Kofi's out, whether it's real or kayfabe. I feel like it's from what I read, it's kayfabe, but they may focus on Big E, kind of a single push going forward for a little bit. So I kind of feel like the titles are safe on them. You'll get some challenges. But I think they'll have a safe defense for a little bit before someone really pops up as an actual contender. Because I'm trying to think, there's some teams, but like the Usos, one of them's out and injured. And for the longest time, that was their tag scene. I don't know what's going on with. The only thing that scares me is heavy machinery and the thought going back to Money in the Bank that he uses the cash in on tag titles, not a single title. That'd be the only thing and they're heels now, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
As opposed to cashing in on New Day, but hopefully they'll kind of let that go for a while if that's their plan before it happens.
All right. Well, some other news, some other title changes. We got a new tag team championship, tag team champions in Impact Wrestling. The Motor City Machine Guns returned and knocked off the North.
I don't remember where they point. I just know
it's somewhere. It's from this.
It's right here. That's where Detroit is. Right here on the hand.
There.
Yeah.
There it is. There you go. There you go.
Sorry, my thumbs up now.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool. They've come right back winning the titles, and no disrespect to the North. Congrats to them holding those titles for over a year. You can say what you want about the tag team division Impact. It's still, it's still great. They've fought some tough challenges, some great teams, and for them to hold it as long as they did was pretty impressive.
Yeah, the North has legit claim to best tag team of the past year.
Oh yeah,
quite easily. They could. I wouldn't argue if you said that. So.
Yeah. Regardless of how they lost, at this point, it's kind of funny because at this point, no matter who they lost them to and or how, it's like they're set. It's like no one could say, "Well, the North got screwed." The North been champion for a year, dude. You can't get screwed when you're champion for a year. So.
Exactly.
Oh man, they got buried.
Well. Yeah. It's at least they didn't get the Kofi treatment where he lost in 10 seconds to Lesnar. So.
But someone on the internet probably said that. Oh, why'd they put him on the dude? Calm down. It's not they'll never get him back. There's no way they'll never get him back. It's just not unless they start pushing those guys individually for titles, which to be fair I could see. But it's no way. They'll get him back. Relax. It's mostly Machine Guns. It's not like they didn't lose him to a credible tag team.
Yeah. Agreed. Another title change is an interesting one. Sasha Banks claiming the Raw Women's Championship officially.
I call bull on that. You know I love Sasha Banks. I call bull on that. I call bull.
I knew Tommy was going to be upset. Wait, this is kind of a double hit for you because Kairi Sane was attacked backstage, and then after Raw last night, we're recording this on Tuesday, obviously, posted her goodbyes. And then there's reports that's been out there for a while. She's just going to let her contract expire, go back to Japan. So I know this is a bit bittersweet because for Tommy, there's a good chance we see Kairi back in Stardom and the other Japanese promotions as well. So I know you're upset with Asuka, but I guess we'll just start with your thoughts overall on everything that happened.
Okay, well, nothing against Sasha, but come on. Come on, dude. Really? She finally wins the freaking belt, and it's like what does Vince have against his Asian population of his company? Jeez, it's so irritating because Asuka's so good, and it's like I guess that's part of the problem. She is so good. Having her lose legitimately doesn't really make all that much sense. Anyway,
unless your name is Charlotte Flair.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Don't get me started on that either.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that's annoying. But I'm hoping she'll just win it back sometime soon, as revenge for Kairi. Now, Kairi saying leaving sucks only because there's so much more she could have done that they just didn't use her for, which could be said about a lot of people. But her going back to Stardom, I'm hoping because. In truth, that's like the only place I can think she's going. There are other Japanese Joshi promotions, but out of everywhere she could return to, I can immediately see her going right back to Stardom because that's where she really made her name. That's where her friends like hers, like Mayu Iwatani, is still there. I could easily see her kind of helping build what they were building. That Hana was actually, ironically enough, helping build before she passed away. To me, it was like a lot of the company was being built around what Hana was going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like she was like their major success story coming up next. Then she passed, unfortunately. So now and I won't say they're scrambling because I don't think they're scrambling. They've shifted their focus back to Mayu, who's always been their mainstay, but now Julia and the Donna Del Mondo stable, who are a group of beasts, by the way. I will say that if you guys can check them out, like if you find any like their clips on YouTube or anything like that, they're worth checking out. Julia especially. I just think now they're focused on Julia, but Julia's more of a heel. So if anything, I think she'll be their next major like heel who comes up. And if anything, I think I could see Kyrie coming back to feud with her, and you could really see like a clash of like the former like locker room leader and now like the new like locker room leader in Julia, because I think Julia really is stepping up in what the company's asking her to do. And if someone who's going to like really take it to the next level, I see Julia doing that. And Kyrie could just be like, you know, one of those leaders who's a veteran.
Yeah.
You know,
and
listen to your vet.
I think it's a good move for her career-wise. Obviously, she had a lot of promise into NXT, was one of the few that beat Shayna Baszler in NXT. Main roster kind of fizzled out because they just don't know what to do with her. But, you know, I think part of the reason also her going back, she's a bit homesick, especially with everything that's going on. She is recently married, and I think wanting to spend more time with her husband and being around family with all this going on, I think it was a good move for her too. Keep some of her sanity. But I guess
Lord knows they weren't using her on TV, right?
Exactly. Thankfully, though, I mean, you know, it's I could see when you're from a foreign country, you feel very isolated here right now, the way everything is especially locked down.
Yeah.
So I think she's ready to just get up and go home, you know.
I mean, there's also, I mean, if what I heard is true, I mean, that's like got to be how Io Shirai feels. I think her and Evil are actually together or engaged. So
evil engagement.
You sure it's not?
Are you going to say it?
Are you sure it's not an entanglement? Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say I'll also accept an evil entanglement.
That damn word.
Thanks, Jada. All right, so
I would hate it less if that fool hadn't made a song.
I know.
God, that made it so much worse. Anyway.
So just so we're clear, Bayley literally beat Kyrie out of WWE. Is the way it went down.
I guess
right?
when you think about it, yeah.
It's weird to say it that way, but yeah.
I mean, that's one way to get written off of TV, basically, right? You know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know though, man. Impact had a much better way of getting rid of Allie. They killed her. I mean,
yeah, it's true. That's true.
You know, when you think about it, Impact has a body count, man. They just straight up killed Allie. So.
That's true. And then she was back to normal, and AEW was like, "Isn't this? No, it's two different people." You know, she was like reborn. So you know, I mean,
I guess because.
Well, I mean, WWE apparently killed off the club or the OC, and all of a sudden the Good Brothers show up in Impact. Totally different people, also. I think.
Yeah, apparently they got burned during the Boneyard match, right? You know, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. Never mind. You're right.
I mean, not to get too off topic, but Carl Anderson mentioned on that podcast they did at that midnight that basically his last move he took in WWE on TV was a tombstone. He's like, what better way to go out than that? WrestleMania taking a tombstone? He's like, I got
that's one way to think about it.
That's actually a really good point. Actually,
if you accomplish nothing else in your career, it's like my last move in WWE was a tombstone. I'm good. I'm never signing again. You know, I'm good.
At a WrestleMania,
yeah. So.
You know what? Those guys really are the masters of taking lemons and turn them into lemonade. And like, because Carl Anderson, I mean, as good as he was in New Japan, you know, they weren't pushing him that much. And then he forms Bullet Club. And could you name a bigger stable? You know, so.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of these guys, Tommy, did you see the photo from Being the Elite with Matt Jackson's when he's on his phone and his history of searches?
Yes, I saw that.
And like the first one was, "Why did the Good Brother screw me over?" It was
yes, because I don't know what made them think to do that for that segment or whatever. But I was like, that's genius. That's gold.
Oh, that's awesome. Final bit of news before we get into our main topic. a lot of rumors circulating around. Is Evolution coming back this year? This is, of course, circulating with them being in the Performance Center. It might be a little bit easier to run, you know?
Coming back this year.
Oh.
Because it's funny because it should have been recurring every year.
Agreed.
Because Vince is stupid.
I thought
Anyway,
you meant
sorry.
the team with Triple H and Flair.
No, the pay-per-view. Funny. Man.
That's good.
Yeah. No,
That's good.
there's a couple of reasons why this could happen. Obviously, the Performance Center thing, as I mentioned. And two, apparently, it's heavily rumored also that WWE is going to still make good on their contract with Saudi Arabia and run a show in Saudi Arabia, possibly this year.
There's no way it's Evolution.
I mean, not Evolution, but the idea being that since they have to run like the last Saudi Arabia show was not all male, but if they run another Saudi Arabia show that's predominantly male, they may be doing an Evolution pay-per-view to kind of even it out with a full female roster. What?
I mean, if that's the reasoning, that's it's lame. It's not.
I agree.
Yeah.
Progressive in any way. It's like, oh well, we'll do this to even it out. Either you believe you have the women to pull this off, or you don't. Like, and you do, by the way.
They do.
I'm just saying that's.
They do, and
Jesus.
as Tommy said, and we said it after the first one on this show, you have to do this every year. 2019 came and went without an Evolution. And it was horrible because those ladies deserved it. And don't give me the excuse that Ronda sold that pay-per-view. No, she didn't. That whole roster sold that pay-per-view. I mean, I think the match everybody looked forward to was Becky Lynch versus Charlotte on that pay-per-view.
And there is no more selling pay-per-views. They're all on the network. You either have the network or you don't.
Exactly.
I don't think there's a lot of people that sign up for each. When you have 12 pay-per-views a year, I think we've talked about this before. There's very little that you're like, oh, I don't have it, but I'm going to sign up for this pay-per-view. I mean, maybe WrestleMania and you know the big ones, but your month-to-month ones, you either have it or you don't.
Yeah, but and even at most for the big ones, people for the network, I think would only get it for like WrestleMania and Royal Rumble.
Right, exactly.
They would only do Survivor Series and SummerSlam if there was like something really big happening. You know, it's just like it's the network for God's sake. You know, you're
like
just
Rocky in one of his 2 days for the year.
yeah. Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on, yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully this does happen, and hopefully this becomes a recurring pay-per-view event because it needs to be.
I guess my one thing with this is like, if you don't think you should have it every year, then why the freak do you have so many different women's titles?
Yeah, and now they're all being held by 2 people. So
yeah. You have essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women's titles, and so if you have 5 of any kind of championship, you should have something for that championship every year. So.
What do you have against the Golden Role Models? Don't you dare speak negatively of them.
What do I have against them? The Golden Role Models? They beat Asuka! Okay, sorry. That's what I have against them.
I mean, in the keep Asuka looking strong most possible way.
Well,
yeah.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. That's fair. I will absolutely
I know you talked about it earlier, and I didn't get to add in, but clearly Asuka was just a casualty of a storyline where, you know, they want to get all the gold on them for the moment, and then clearly they're going to fall apart at some part.
All right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, it's
okay.
It's gonna, it's going to come.
I will give you that.
It's going to come to a single night where they have to defend each of their singles titles and their tag titles, and possibly in succession. So,
right.
You know, they might lose one or all of them. Who knows?
At Evolution, there you go.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Oh God.
If Evolution happens, do you think that's when they debut Tessa Blanchard?
Oh dear God.
Oh Lord.
Is that a whole other can of worms?
There was a couple years ago where I feel like I'd be excited for this.
Now?
Not so much.
You see, okay, here's my biggest fear with that. My fear with that is if they did that to be petty at the highest order, she would try to show up with the Impact World title.
Man.
I thought I heard that she was in the process of sending it back after all.
Oh, she was? Okay,
I thought I read that. I'm not 100% sure.
If that's the case, cool. But I hadn't heard that yet. So
I would hope she has enough respect for that title to send it back, especially since they're the first, major promotion to put a woman as their top title holder. that's something that needs to show some respect for that.
Yeah.
Send the belt back or keep it as a souvenir, but don't bring it on a competition's TV and just trash it. That's not right. So
See, I don't think. Oh, good.
So this is a Medusa in WCW.
yeah, so.
See, I don't think they would debut Tessa at Evolution because I think she would want to come in against Brock and go over. So you can't have Brock at Evolution.
Would any of us be mad if Tessa went over Brock?
Mad? No, but I would probably laugh until I felt unconscious. It's like, okay, so let's paint the scenario. Let's say it's like SummerSlam and she's like getting F5'd out of her shoes.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason,
Roman Reigns shows up.
Yeah, well, basically, yeah. Roman Reigns shows up.
Brian Cage for the hell of it. Yeah.
He spears Brock 8 times, and Tessa crawls over and puts a finger on top of Brock, and they count 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, I would laugh until I passed out. My wife would call you guys and be like, "What happened at SummerSlam?" that my husband is unconscious, because literally it would have to be SummerSlam. There could be no other place, because it's the only one that dates Brock that actually works. So it had to be SummerSlam, and she'd be calling y'all, "What happened on SummerSlam? Why is he passed out with a smile on his face? What happened?"
Of course, the next night on Raw, Charlotte Flair would have to beat Tessa, so just to even things out.
I mean, of course.
That's true.
Of
course. When Charlotte makes her return from injury, right?
Exactly.
All right.
But if that did happen, I could see Sami Callihan cutting a promo saying, by proxy, I've beaten Brock Lesnar before.
This is one of the most random, what if little things we just went down.
It's random, but be honest, can't you kind of see it happening?
Yeah.
If those things played out
I could see all the tweets.
That's the worst part. As random as it is, in some weird way, you can kind of picture it happening.
It would basically be like Tina's Jay Lethal shirt.
That's true. That's very true. Yes.
Yes.
It's true. He's the best in the world. All right. Well, we'll get out of the realm of fantasy booking, and we'll get into the realm of ranking fantasy matches, if you will. So, as we all know, the craze in wrestling this year has been about the cinematic match. Just this year alone, we've had 7 cinematic matches between WWE and AEW. And to think back, these really kind of started in modern wrestling with the halftime heat match between Rock and Mankind during the Super Bowl in 1999. So we kind of looked back on it, thought, okay, let's have a little fun with this. There's been so many. I'm going to kind of go through what we're going to do. I'm going to list them all here in chronological order when they happened. And we're going to each give our top 10 and kind of decide how are we going to rank, what is the 10 best cinematic matches 1 through 10 here. So, and kind of discuss them a bit. So here they are in chronological order. The halftime heat empty arena match, Rock and Mankind. Final deletion, Jeff Hardy and Broken Matt Hardy. This was in 2016. And then a few days later, the Wyatt family compound match, Wyatt family versus New Day. The Great War, the Hardys versus Abyss, Crazy Steve, and Rosemary on Impact, Bound for Glory 2016. Tag Team Apocalypto, crazy 12 tag team match on the Hardy compound, part of Total Nonstop Deletion in 2016. House of Horrors, Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, 2017. Ultimate Deletion with Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt in 2018. And then here's where we get to all the ones that have happened this year. The Boneyard match, AJ Styles Undertaker, WrestleMania 26. Firefly Funhouse, Cena versus The Fiend, WrestleMania 36, excuse me. Money in the Bank corporate ladder match, Money in the Bank this year, men's and women's Money in the Bank together. The Stadium Stampede match, the Elite versus the Inner Circle at AEW Double or Nothing. The Backlot Brawl between Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole at NXT In Your House. The greatest wrestling match ever between Edge and Randy Orton at Backlash.
That name is still alive. Sorry.
And, of course, the most recent one, the Wyatt Swamp fight between Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt in the horror show Extreme Rules.
So,
yeah,
you know how when we were talking about the horror show a couple weeks ago and we said that certain people hear the word and it sounds like it can mean something else?
Yes, the horror show.
So that Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt match would have been an interesting match had it been the other thing. I'm just going to throw that in there. That was like the CM Punk.
I was literally about
It was
to bring
kind of
that
like
up.
that,
I was
yeah.
literally about
Homicide match, right?
Yeah,
In a
FIP.
way.
Yeah. And if only that one was
Anyway.
considered cinematic, we could have talked about that one too.
Yeah,
If you don't know what we're
shit
talking about, look up CM Punk and Homicide at Ring of Honor.
In a
Not
false
safe for work,
count.
people. Not
Either-
not safe for
Either
work.
Ring of Honor, or FIP.
It was one of those two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not safe for work.
Or honestly, you could look up CM Punk Homicide Strip Club and literally the same thing. And trust me, it's worth looking up.
It's not
Make
safe
sure
for
you
work.
have your parents' permission before.
Yes. Not safe for work and not safe if you work from home either. So it's that bad. All right. Anyway, so
Not safe if you have kids.
so what we're going to do, a lot of these 14 matches, we're each going to kind of go through our top 10. And Tez, by the way, has also been on the WrestleCast, sent his top 10 in as well. So we're going to kind of go through this here. We're each going to name off what our number 10 is, or number 9, and go through in that order. So we'll start with Tez. His number 10 was the Backlot Brawl between Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole. Mike, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is the greatest wrestling match ever.
Really?
That name is a lie! Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. The name is a lie. But in all honesty, it was a really good match, and I debated putting it on here because I don't really know if it needed any kind of cinematic treatment. I don't think the things they did added to it,
Right.
but it's considered a cinematic match, and it was a really good match.
I feel like if you watch it without the volume, it'd be even better. You know, because it's just, I'm sorry,
Well,
the
turn the
piped in
volume on
crowd
for-
threw it off for me, but that's just me.
Turn the volume on for the introductions and then turn it off once they start wrestling.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. I like that. Let's see if that works out for you. Tommy, what's your number 10?
Okay, I finally saw my number 10 is actually the Wyatt Swamp fight.
Really?
The one
Okay.
that just happened. It to me, it's. I look back at it. I watched it again. I was like, you know what? Okay, I think it's one of the cases where what I didn't like it at first is because the whole pay-per-view to me wasn't that great. So to me, that one wasn't that great,
Especially
And
after
it's not-
Impact the night before.
Yeah. Yeah, and so yeah, it's not the best of this. Clearly, it's my number 10. But when you look back on it, it had a lot of fun stuff. Because you can say, is Alexa Bliss really Sister Abigail, or was that just in Braun's mind? Does he see her Sister Abigail? And the fact that we had Braun getting attacked by another Braun, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, y'all talked a little bit about that last week.
Yeah.
I think it was clearly meant to simply be that Sister Abigail is a projection of the person who he's wrestling.
Okay.
I mean, that was my thing, especially with the clips they show of the Mixed Match Challenge. That's the way I perceived it, is that if he was fighting Bobby Lashley, it would be Lana or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Crystal Marvel.
Someone connected to him.
Kidding.
If it was Brock Lesnar, it'd be Sable, not him.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. I would love that.
No, it would
Excellent.
be Mark Merritt.
Oh my God.
And that would be hilarious.
I will note that seeing Alexa in that was pretty awesome. I'm just throwing that out there. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
My number 10 was the Ultimate Deletion. Kind of like Hardy's first time bringing his broken/woken character into WWE, and wasn't too bad. I think it was a great way for them to write off the Bray Wyatt persona, for him to reinvent himself coming back as the Fiend, years later, which was pretty cool. A year later, which I thought was really awesome. So
That's cool.
all right. Number 9, Tez had the Swamp Fight that we already talked about. Mike, you're number 9.
Actually, the same thing, the Swamp Fight.
Swamp Fight, okay.
And I think one of the biggest things that detracts this from me, or I guess maybe doesn't have it higher, is like you said earlier, or maybe y'all said last week. I don't really know. Like it wasn't a match that you know how to win. They just fought, and then he kicked him in. It was like, I'm done. I'm going to walk away. Like it wasn't a match per se.
Yeah.
But like you said, also things that happened on it were really entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It was an experience more than a match to me. But
That's how it kept it from being higher for me. Is like I like that where you're not sure how to win. I guess that's what it is.
Wasn't really said. Tommy, your number 9 is what?
Actually, the funny part was the Swamp Fight was almost my number 9, but I flipped it with this. And for me, 9 is Tag Team Apocalypto.
Tag team. We'll
Apocalypto.
call it Tag Team APOC. How about that? Yeah. So, okay.
Fine, whatever.
Apocalypto.
Because apparently I can't talk right now. So, jeez. I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was both awesome and hilarious, especially because it's like they're just kind of like they just gave it like a shot for a lot of guys, like Rock and Roll Express, who to me at this point they're just so cool. I mean, the time they were in BOW and how they talk to the fans and how they really talk up other companies now, like their praise for AEW. It's like when they say what they say about like, oh, those guys are you're really bringing back tag team wrestling or something to that effect. I was like, well, you can't hate on the guys who are who aren't crapping on everything the younger guys do. Sure, maybe they can have some suggestions, but for them to say, hey, that's cool. I like what they're doing. That's just cool, So.
My number 9 is the Great War, the Hardys versus Abyss, Crazy Steve and Rosemary. I liked it because that was. It's hard to follow up Final Deletion. After Final Deletion was so good, now you're following up at Bound for Glory, and I think it did a pretty good job of it too. First time you kind of see both Broken Hardy and Matt and Brother Nero kind of teaming up together. That new persona, how they work. So that I thought was a lot of fun. Those Hardy compound matches were just great. So
yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. Number 8 Tez had was a Tag Team Apocalypto, which we already mentioned. Mike, your number 8 is what?
I actually have the Firefly Funhouse at number 8.
Okay.
And it's kind of lower on there too for the same reason as the Swamp Fight. It was an experience more than a match.
Yeah.
And it was a fun experience at times. It was a weird acid trip at times.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna lie, I don't remember exactly what happens at the end other than Cena disappears. Does he actually pin him? And I don't remember.
No, he just kind of. I think he kind of mandible clawed him. They took that down, and then he just disappeared. I don't even remember a referee administering a count. Yeah. So.
Right. So. It's an experience, but it's as a match, it was just like it wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was fun, trippy at times, but that's why I don't have it as high. Because like, if you're gonna do a cinematic match, I feel like there has to be something that determines a winner in the end, one way or another. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. To be honest, that one didn't even place on my list. I got to be honest.
Wow, really? Okay. I'm surprised considering it's been one of the more popular ones of the year. So.
Yeah.
What is your number 8 then, Tommy?
My number 8 is actually the halftime heat match.
Really? Okay.
Because and the reason and honestly, so here I'm weird this way. Whenever something is like the original of something, I gotta give it credit. It's like even if it's not that great because it kicks something off. Maybe they didn't. Maybe The Rock and Mankind never expected it to go this far. Matt Hardy saw that, was like, "Hey, I can use that," and then they were like, and then. I just want to imagine The Rock called Mick Foley, was like, what did we do when we had that match? Because apparently, you remember that Matt Hardy guy? He's just lost his mind. But I give it credit because it was like, especially for the time it happened, like, the Monday Night Wars, they were just doing anything to, I mean, they were definitely on top at this point in 99 when it happened because of Mick Foley and The Rock, ironically enough. But I don't know. It's just the fact they were willing to try something different, It had its kinks, but I think, and plus, come on, it happened at the Super Bowl. You know how hard it is to get on the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So,
everyone flipped to USA.
Don't feel bad about defending it at all.
No, don't. Yes. I mean, I question though, is it lower on your list because of the way it ended with the random camera shot of The Rock getting pinned by the forklift and him having the face like, I mean,
yeah.
That's like the one bad thing about that match.
It's kind of funny, and we've complained about that for years.
Uh-huh.
But now, given these more modern cinematic matches, it's not really a bad thing at all.
And actually, that's kind of part of it. The only reason it's not higher is because I actually legitimately love the other matches more.
Yeah.
But like at this point, how many screwy finishes have we seen that we ragged on for centuries, for years? And now looking at everything that's happened in the past, let's say even 5 years since 2015, you're like, by comparison, that wasn't that bad. I mean, honestly, now even the Scott Hall tasing Goldberg thing ain't that crazy anymore.
Yeah.
It was crazy for '98 at Starrcade,
and the
but
way to end
in
his streak. But
2020
yeah,
for a
exactly.
match ending, that's like, oh, that happened. Who cares?
Yeah.
All right. My number 8 was the backlot brawl between Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole. And this, I mean, from this point, like 1 through 8, it was tough pickings for me. I don't know about you guys,
Yeah.
but like it's hard to rank these. They're all pretty good. So, but you know,
my hardest to rank were my top 2. I had the damnedest time figuring out what I was going to put in my top 2. But when we get there, you'll see.
No,
Right.
my top 2 I was pretty strong on. It was about 3 through 7 or so.
Yeah.
Where putting them in order was really difficult.
I don't have
Spoiler alert: Backlot Brawl not even in my top 10.
Ooh,
Actually, it's not mine either.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll move into.
Our tastes are wildly different. When
They are.
They
They are. Number 7, Tez had the Great War. Mike, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is the Money in the Bank corporate ladder climb, whatever you call it.
Climbing the corporate ladder.
That's it.
Yeah.
It had enough moments
Yeah.
that it was really enjoyable. It was different. I was really skeptical of it. Their desire, I don't know what their quarantine desire is to like pretend that they're actually going to severely injure their wrestlers now with throwing them off roofs and taking their eyes. But
I just thought of that. Vince hates Rey Mysterio. Wasn't he one of the guys who got thrown off the roof?
He got thrown off. He was the one that got thrown off the roof by, at least the one they showed by Baron Corbin.
This is what you get for asking for a bigger contract, Ray.
You should have been an all
Booyaka, booyaka, right? You know. Who's that jumping out the sky? Here we okay.
It was kind of like watching a fan service movie where they're just self-referential and make a lot of inside jokes, which I thought were funny for the most part. And I thought it was cool that the way Asuka got hers. Asuka got hers, and then
Otis had to just fall to him.
Thank you, because it was kind of fell into his lap. Yeah.
That was hilarious.
One of my favorite moments of that match was what's her face? Oh God, why is her name? Dana Brooke pulling it from the conference room, and my thought is,
I felt so bad for her.
I felt bad for her, but in a way, I was like,
hilarious.
you have a briefcase full of money. You're good. Just take off. You don't screw the rest of the match.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd have just been like,
literally go to the bank and make it Money in the Bank. So
and we asked this question: why does WWE headquarters have a briefcase full of cash hanging in a conference room? But I digress.
Because why not?
The question is, why don't they?
They don't have one anymore, right?
Oh my God! I just thought of how you make Money in the Bank better next year. You hide all kinds of different suitcases in different rooms, and you don't know which one has money, which one has the title. It's almost like the Feast or Famine.
I was Feast or Fired match.
Yeah, whatever it was. Like a version of that. Yes.
That's actually not a bad idea.
I'm
not even going to front. That's
that.
actually not a bad idea.
I think if Impact had a corporate headquarters, they'd do the same thing too, right? All right. Tommy, what's your number 7?
7? Let's see. Wyatt Family Compound.
Wyatt Compound?
Yeah. I liked it because while that seemed right up the alley for the Wyatt family, it was cool to see the New Day out of their typical element.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I enjoy it when an established wrestler can every now and again. That has to be a regular thing, but every now and again just do something outside their usual comfort zone. It's why I like cage matches and things like that, Hell in a Cell, that kind of thing. It doesn't need to happen all the time, which is why I never believed Hell in a Cell should have been a pay-per-view. Oh, it's the stupidest idea ever. Anyway, but it's like when you do something like that, with like when a feud has to hit that level, it's like, all right, cool, we're gonna break all our normal rules just to beat these guys. So I like that. So. And actually, it was pretty entertaining. And, of course, it's New Day and the Wyatt family. And, yeah, that's why.
My number 7 was Tag Team Apocalypto. We mentioned already, talked about it. It was just fun seeing those teams together. It was so much going on.
It was so random.
It really was.
Number 6, Tez, for him, it was the Money in the Bank corporate ladder match. Mike, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is the Great War. Hardys versus Decay, Abyss, Crazy Steve, and Rosemary.
Holy snap, dude! Mine 6 is Great War too.
Oh, nice,
Yes.
nice.
Nice.
I
That's
like
what's
it.
up.
Yeah, I mean, for me, they were really hitting their stride with those matches. You know, I know they had a couple, but Great War with Abyss, who's all, I mean, you know, TNA stalwart, just an amazing character throughout all his time there. And it was just fun. Like those were fun without feeling like they were trying to overdo it. Which, for me, some of the WWE attempts at those early Wyatt-like matches and were a little. I just felt like they were trying too hard to copy the TNA version.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
To
I think
me, though,
that's why
like,
I didn't have the compound on my top 10. It was like, you're just kind of
Same with me.
parodying
Yeah.
it almost, you know?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
But see, to me, I think for the exact opposite reasons why I picked the compound, why the Great War one works is because you had, you know, Brother Nero, Broken Matt, but against the Decay, and for those 4 groups, that's absolutely the kind of thing that you want to see them in because that's the character they'd established. It's kind of like the whole dark universe or darkness world or whatever that Rosemary, Jessica Havoc, Sue Young are all part of, where you know when they do that. So basically the same thing. But yeah, that's one reason why it ranked higher for me than the White Family Compound because that was the exact kind of match you wanted to see those 4 guys in. So.
Okay.
And of course, Rosemary's there and she's hot.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
I was waiting for it. I'm waiting for you to say that.
So
Number 6 for me was Halftime Heat, Rock vs. Mankind, and it's just got a soft spot in my heart because I won some money off of it when I found out the result before, and a buddy of mine was a fan of The Rock.
And every time you remind me of that, I'm like, dude, you're still so wrong for that. You're so wrong.
The early days of internet results being posted, but in my defense, WWE put it on their website, front and center. So when they filmed it before it even aired, so it's on him.
Hey, real quick segue.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys saw what I posted about like kids today will never know the struggle of like having to look for an episode of an anime in 3 different parts on YouTube.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine brought up dial-up, and I was like, man, waiting for the results of anything with dial-up back in the day drove me crazy.
Yes.
I remember when Jeff Hardy showed up at TNA the first time, my dial-up took forever to say the results of that match. I was so mad. I was like, why is this so slow?
It's like the memes about you know, Napster or LimeWire waiting all that time for the song just to find out that it's, you know, got some sort of virus in it or it's not what was advertised.
It's not really the song itself. Yeah. So.
Yep. Or it's such a low quality you can't understand the words. Like there's like weird buzzing.
Or do you remember when they used to like have beeps in electronic ones that were shared or something? Did you ever get those songs?
Sometimes, yeah. And even now, people do that to kind of protect their stuff from getting like ripped off a website.
Well, I guess I guess I haven't ripped a song or done that forever. So, but yeah.
All right. Number 5, Tez had the Boneyard match. WrestleMania 36 this year. One of the more highly acclaimed wrestling or cinematic matches this year. AJ Styles Undertaker, which may turn out to be Undertaker's last match if you know what we got with the last ride. Mike, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is one y'all have already mentioned a few times. Tag Team Apocalypto.
Oh, nice.
Again, I just really felt like the Hardys and TNA were really hitting their stride with these. They didn't do them so often that you felt overused. And, you know, they always had great surprises. And I honestly, I think I've got them both a little mixed up in my head. I don't remember which one, but I'm pretty sure it's Tag Team Apocalypto where, like, the Hurricane shows up with the people he was Shane Helms in one of them. I guess you can't tell if it's Hurricane.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was that one, I think, yeah.
Was it? Okay.
That one had everybody show up, I think. So
right, exactly.
Because I looked it up real quick. That one is like because it had like when he had the Helms Dynasty.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right.
All right, Tommy, you're number 5.
Number 5 for me is the Ultimate Deletion. Actually, I liked. You know, of course, Vince wouldn't let him do full on, but he did Woken Matt Hardy, and of course, honestly. To me, that was kind of a fantasy booking of mine before Matt showed back up. I wanted to see a Great War Final Deletion style match with Matt and Bray Wyatt. So I got what I wanted. And, and it's the kind of thing where it's like I just wasn't disappointed. I saw it because like at this point with these cinematic matches, and this is where I get mad at some wrestling fans. It's like I'm not looking for this technical wrestling wonder. I just want something fun, and this is what I get. I think the problem with people who don't like these is like you can't watch these through the purest wrestling fan eyes. You can't do it. You're gonna hate it. You're absolutely gonna hate it.
On
Whatever,
some level,
Tommy.
yeah.
If Okada and Naito did a cinematic match, I'll give it 17 stars.
If Okada and Naito do a cinematic match, it's going number 1 on this list, and I don't care what the freak happens in that match.
Empty baseball stadium,
First of all, that sounds lit. Don't even kid yourselves. That sounds lit AL, and I'm down.
It's gonna
Come
be.
on, Tommy. They could stand in front of each other and just play patty cake, and you'd still give it 7 stars.
I give it 3. They got to do something more than that. Come on, I give it 3.
First one around the bases in the baseball stadium, and then you got to hit a home run off the tee, and that's how you win. So
and my money is one of them would try to pull it off.
Number 5 for me, the corporate Money in the Bank, climb the corporate ladder match. I think I enjoyed the fact that it was the men and the women together, and just so many things. Like there was so many smart moments of it. Asuka just leaving everybody and jumping in the elevator and just boom, trying to ride up. And then eventually
I like that because the way she got on the elevator looked like a horror movie. Like,
yeah,
I
Oh, well, didn't she start off like jumping onto everybody?
Yeah, she was like on the
on the balcony. Yeah, so
I also liked it because she was doing her random dance, and you could see it on the security. I was like, Asuka, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Asuka, sweetie, we love you. What are you doing?
it was a fun match, and if this all continues, I wouldn't be surprised. That's something they revisit every year, but hopefully this is something where we get to see an actual ladder match again with fans in attendance. So
it also reminded me of AJ Styles finding the Undertaker room.
Yes,
that was hilarious.
Yes. Because why not? A corporate office, let's have an Undertaker room. And we got our moment where they walk into Vince's office and he's there with Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles.
I still maintain the belief that A, Undertaker was asleep in that casket, and B, one of those locked doors was Stone Cold's beer room, and you're not allowed in Stone Cold's beer rooms.
Oh my God! If they would have gotten him to show up to do something, that would have been.
If they would have busted in on his beer room, he would have beat the crap out of everybody and just taken the briefcase. It would have just
been like Vince's office. He'd have opened the beer and been like,
"Yeah,
get out!"
Oh, what would have been better, even if Austin was staying at home, is if they bust into the beer room and then they just go to a shot of Austin, at his ranch, and he's like, "I feel a disturbance in the force. Yeah.
That would have been
someone's touching my beer."
He's sitting on his easy chair. Is somebody in my room? Oh, those mother!
He's got like a camera. He's got a camera feed to his ranch, and he's getting an eye on it, right?
That'd be awesome.
Alrighty.
Oh, hilarious.
Number 4 for Tez was Stadium Stampede. Such a fun match that AEW had. They went all over that damn TIA Bank field. So
that was man.
Elite versus Inner Circle, yeah. So that's his number 4. Mike, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Final Deletion.
Okay.
The first one.
Dude, same. Legitimately same.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's not. I mean, not technically the first cinematic one, but kind of the one of this era. The one that Matt Hardy kind of got started with this little craze, and it was. I honestly remember having reservations about it. I had reservations about the whole broken character when it first came out, but they just really hit it out of the park. And
I mean, didn't we all? Right? It was something different.
Honestly, I gotta say, I'm one of the guys. Matt, shut up immediately with the gimmick because I ragged on it so bad. I was one of those guys who did not think it was working. And then Final Deletion happened, and I was like, "Damn it, he won me over."
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, even the vignettes that led up to it, if you remember, were
and I would be lying if I don't in some variant to this day still say some variant of Brother Nero. I knew you'd come. I do some variant of that. Piano. But the messed up part is no one knows what I'm talking about, and I'm falling out laughing, so my family can't stand it when I do that because it's like, "What are you talking about?"
You'll always have that inside joke on him. That's the fun part about it. So
every now and then I do it to my sister, and I'm like my sister Kira. I knew you'd come.
My number 4 was the Boneyard match. Styles versus Undertaker.
Huh.
I prior to his retirement announcement, I was thinking this is a way Undertaker could keep his career going. Not a lot of stress, pretty easy to film for the most part. So but I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3. Here we go. Tez had Halftime Heat as his number 3. I mean, not a bad choice, right? It's up there. So
Not at all.
Mike, your number 3.
I also have Halftime Heat.
Halftime Heat.
Nice.
Yeah, like I said, I have a very nostalgic place in my heart for that match. I think
JC
it
has a
was.
monetary place in his heart for that.
Yes, I do. My wallet, my bank account have a great nostalgia for that. Yeah, go ahead.
It was a really fun, even for the time, like especially for the time. I mean, they threw mostly, Mick Foley around the building, falling down the stairs and into stuff, and The Rock just being The Rock made it so entertaining. And like I said, for years we kind of like, oh, that last shot. Mick even says it in his book. But now after watching all these other matches, like the greatest wrestling match ever, how many times is all of a sudden you're like in his face on a headlock or on an armbar, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Now that finish doesn't really bother me as much.
Yeah, everything's making that match look better and better, right? So
I think now, you know what's funny? Now, when younger wrestling fans go back and watch that, they're not going to find a thing wrong with it.
No.
You're like, that was the only time the camera changed.
No.
How come the camera was normal the whole time?
Exactly.
Tommy, you're number 3.
My number 3 is actually the Money in the Bank corporate ladder match.
Right.
And the reason why this is my number 3, and to be completely transparent, is because I couldn't stop laughing at it. I laughed so hard at this match, I couldn't breathe for a few minutes every now and again. Between Asuka just being herself literally the entire time was funny. If she had just done that, I still would have put this somewhere in my top 5 probably. But between that, the food fight, poor Dana Brooke.
Oh my God, I forgot about the food fight.
Yes.
The food fight.
Where Paul Heyman was caught in the middle of it, yeah.
3 things I will say give it this spot. The food fight, the fact that Otis won because he caught the briefcase because AJ dropped it, and the Vince office thing.
Yeah.
The beginning of it, and then afterwards when AJ and Daniel Bryan were arguing with each other. It's like, you said put the chairs back. I did say that, didn't I? Yeah. And they just started fighting all over again. And honestly, it's like, who would have predicted in 2002 to say 2006 that AJ Styles and Bryan Danielson would be the 2 men who just left Vince's office during a WWE match? You would have had so many ROH fans lose money on that I'm going to go in a time machine when they invent one and go make that bet with all of them, and so I can fast forward 10 years later and just collect money. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, they would have bet that they were walking out of his office getting rejected for like the 14th time.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. I remember a quote from Bryan Danielson when CM Punk made a surprise appearance at Unscripted 2. And he said, they're not signing me anytime soon because he talked trash with WWE. And I was like, and I would have been one of those people who was like, man, and I never would have guessed he'd be there in a multiple-time world champion and main evented WrestleMania like twice at this point kind of guy. I never would have guessed that.
Yep.
With his own custom title.
Seriously.
Which is still one of the best titles, and I mean,
yeah, the fact he's actually over in the company, I never thought Vince would allow that kind of thing. I still can't believe that.
Well, he tried really hard not to, but
he did. You're right. Good point. You're right.
All right, here we go. We're getting down to the top 2. Tez, his number 2 was Final Deletion. Delete.
Pretty solid choice.
If nothing else, Broken Matt gave us a chant we will use forever.
Yeah. He said this for the longest time was his number 1 up until this year, and when we get to the number 1, we'll find out why. Yeah. Mike, your number 2.
My number 2 is the Stadium Stampede. One thing I got to give AEW credit for, when they try to do something, they do it with the ability, trying to have so much fun. Mm-hmm. They don't take themselves too seriously. Some people complain about all their kind of references and their kind of insider jokes, but it was hilarious. They pulled off so much fun stuff, so much really cool stuff, and it was just a blast.
That bar scene was hilarious.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, just the whole thing from beginning to end. It was fun. Like I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I hope that horse got paid a lot. I hope the horse.
Yeah. Or at
I
least
hope
the breeder of that
got
horse.
paid because that poor horse was going all over that damn arena. That horse was a trooper. Let's all be honest here. That horse made its money that night.
Horse, you the real MVP.
It is. That horse was the real MVP.
Tommy, what's your number 2?
Boneyard match.
Boneyard.
And it was so hard to pick that one over my number 1 because to me, when I heard they were doing that kind of thing, I got mad. I was like, oh, come on, man. There's no way it's going to be that good. But then I saw it, and it was one of the times where I had to go to WWE like, you know what? I apologize. This was way better than I was expecting, and it definitely was far more awesome than I think it had any right to be, first of all. But it did a good job of merging Undertaker's personas from American Badass to, the Ministry of Darkness, all that kind of thing.
Right.
I still want to believe that it was the Bullet Club and those hooded robe figures who jumped Undertaker. I still want to believe.
Apparently it was Eddie Edwards.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding because of the Good Brothers.
I was like, wait, I didn't hear that. Are you serious?
No, I was joking because of the Good Brothers now. That's all.
Yeah, hell, no one's working at that point. It could have been, for all we know. But anyway, part wants to believe that wrestlers who were stuck stateside, Tama Tonga, Kenta, were all underneath those robes, and we're trying to just give AJ one last good win before. But it was the cinematics of it. And it was, of course, clearly built on everything that had happened before with other cinematic matches. But then, it had its Undertaker flair. And as a diehard Undertaker fan, I had to give it to him because that one was just fantastic. It was so cinematic, so crazy. And and I think one reason I loved it is, like, if this had happened in the middle of a Kane and Undertaker feud, like, at any given point in their relationship, it still wouldn't have felt out of place to me.
If they could replace one of those Kane Taker WrestleMania matches, the one that wasn't as good, and done a cinematic match, it would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few of them you could have chosen from. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
2 for me, like Tez, was Final Deletion. It was up there until one that happened this year. So, now Tez, he said his number 2, his Final Deletion was number 1 up until the Firefly Funhouse at WrestleMania. That's his number 1 for this year. So. Firefly Fun was his number 1. I mean,
and I get that. It's for some people.
Because whenever I say I don't, it's not one of my favorites. I don't knock people who like it, and I don't knock why they like it. I completely get it.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I want to know who in that writing room just said to Bray. I want to know what they told Bray he couldn't do. I want to know what. I don't know what. I want to know when they told him no. All that they said yes to.
I want to turn Cena's head into a lamp like mine, but live. No.
Bray, that's called murder. Is it? Oh.
I'm just going to make his mouth expanded.
Wait, he's like this. It's murder? Yeah. How did you? I mean, you didn't. I mean, that's how you made your lamp. It's fake, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, my lamp is fake. You got it. That's latex for the skin.
No, sure. It's not Bray Wyatt from Earth 2.
That's special effects. We mean it. Mike, you're number 1.
I didn't find a random hobo and put dreads on his head. I did not. You can't prove it.
Mike, your top cinematic match in wrestling.
So my number 1 is the Boneyard match. Right. And, we've talked about this before when we talked about our favorite matches. One of the reasons, for instance, Shawn and Taker is my favorite match of all time is not just because of the wrestling that happens in the match. It's everything that surrounds it. It's WrestleMania. It's these two legends. They have a storied history. And I felt like the Boneyard, in essence, saved Undertaker's career and allowed him to retire with some feeling. Because, I haven't watched all the Last Ride stuff, but I know they talked about that a bit. Mm-hmm. But it was a WrestleMania main event. It allowed Taker to look like a badass one more time, which, his live matches, the last few, haven't really done that for him.
Right.
And now, given that he retired, it's like he really literally rode off into the night.
Yeah.
Victorious. And AJ just played his part so well.
And in a weird way, it's kind of fitting that a cinematic match be Undertaker's last match because
it's the Undertaker.
Because it's the character.
Me,
yeah.
I feel feel like, and maybe maybe there have been other guys who've done it, but like as far as true cinematic wrestlers go, he's got to be the undisputed king. I love guys like him and Great Muta, Jushin Liger, who take their gimmick and just run with it like to a ridiculous level, and they do that. But to me, Taker was one of the original and best at it because, I mean, if you looked at it on paper today, that gimmick wouldn't work. But he took something that probably everyone thought would be like a 1-year gimmick and got an entire career out of it to the point where like no one can even touch the guy,
And think about some of the things they've done with him over the years that they try to do live, like the casket burning, buried alive.
Yeah.
Many times too.
His casket match where he ascends to the heavens.
His return at Survivor Series where he breaks out of the casket and scares the crap out of Randy Orton is still one of my favorite things ever because that, first of all, it looked badass. And secondly, it was literally the look of every single 5-year-old the first time they ever saw The Undertaker. Like, literally that same amount of what am I looking at face right now. So
Exactly.
Tommy, what's your number one?
Number one is Stadium Stampede.
Right.
I had to give it to it. And for the list of reasons, let me tell you why. First off, they started off as a mixture between a football game and like a shootout at the OK Corral, which was complete. Which I said this would be better if there was a horse here, and not 10 minutes later, here came Adam Page on a horse, and I was like, this is the most perfect match of all time. I'm sorry, Kobashi and Joe, you may have lost my number one spot. But no, it's that. It's the Northern Lights suplex, 100-yard Northern Lights suplex.
Yes.
It's the bar fight. It's them trying to kill Sammy Guevara with a golf cart again. And here is the reason why I think it makes it my favorite. That damn pool scene.
Yes.
With first of all, with Ortiz scared to get in knee deep water. It's like, bro, it's not even deep enough to drown in. Literally stand up and say, "Tell him, you get in the water." It's the fact that every time they drown Matt Hardy, he comes back as a different version of himself to the point where the version 1 facts were on the screen and they could read them. It's like, what? And then it's the fact. Poor Santana got locked in an ice thing. And I thought to myself the whole week after that, they did remember to get him out of there, right?
Guys.
Hello,
like,
it's over, right?
guys,
Come on.
Like, guys, what's happening? Did we win? oh, wait, I'm lying. One more thing made it the best. The Aubrey Jericho argument over the call for the 2 count. And then him going on social media. And then him going on social media and calling her the worst. Sorry! The fact that they took it that far just made it so much better.
Number one for me was also Stadium Stampede. And it's for about every reason we just listed here with Tommy. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It was just a blast. It was, I think, on top of all that we just talked about, up until the part where they had like camera cuts here and there, I wasn't 100% convinced it was cinematic at first because it seamlessly started off like a live match. It was, it wasn't shot with any cinematics.
I think the only thing that made you for sure cinematic match was the Matt Hardy stuff.
Definitely.
Everything else feel like they just had like a dozen cameras all over the arena.
Yeah.
And part of me's kind of convinced that maybe they shot the Matt Hardy stuff first and then had the rest of the match happening live. So.
Probably for the costume changes and everything like that, and him underwater sitting there going like this too underwater. The camera.
And is it just me, or did it not look like all 10 of those guys were having just the time of their life?
Oh, I'm sure
it looked like fun.
It's like to me, look like they were having the blast of like just a greatest stuff.
Well, except for when they had to pull off the 100-yard Northern Lights. Oh my God, they must have by the end of that. I don't think the camera cuts, right?
No, it cuts. It cuts to other things going on around him, and you kind of see them moving slowly down the field with it. Other little details of it. You started off with an actual ring inside the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the end zones. One end zone said the inner circle. The other said the elite. So they decorated the end zones like a full on football field. Yeah. So.
And honestly, one reason, like more of a meta reason, why it's like clearly somebody got paid that day to do all that. Like some guy had to come in, cut the grass, paint the field down. Like, hey, say AEW gave some folks a job that week during this pandemic. So hey,
you're not wrong.
Nope. Oh, well, that was cool. We all had some good top 10 lists. So how does this rank overall? Well, here we go. Number 1 overall, Stadium Stampede. For that reason. Number 2, the Boneyard match. And actually, there was a tie for number 2. It was Boneyard match and Final Deletion. Both garnered the same number of ranking points, so they were both tied for number 2.
I think that's because like where Final Deletion created something great. Boneyard match like damn near perfected it.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason Boneyard match wasn't my number 1 is because I laughed so much harder at the Stadium Stampede.
Yeah. Number 4, Halftime Heat. Number 5, the Money in the Bank corporate ladder match. Number 6, the Firefly Funhouse match. 7 was the Great War. 8, Tag Team Apocalypto. 9 was Ultimate Deletion. And 10 was the Wyatt Swamp Fight. Something interesting to look at here is that, you know, every single Impact cinematic was well represented, despite the large number of WWE ones in here. House of Horrors didn't even get a vote from any of us. I'll note that as well. So,
yeah,
which is odd. Oh, never mind.
So many jokes we can make, but they'd all be inappropriate. But this to me is like So let me ask you guys a question. If you think Don Callis and Scott D'Amore had been running Impact literally the entire time Matt Hardy and AJ were there, would they still be there right now?
I mean, Scott D'Amore's kind of still there.
No, not that, but would guys like AJ and Matt still be there because they clearly show appreciation for the kind of things those guys do.
Oh,
I
maybe
think AJ would have made his way to WWE
eventually.
Okay. Eventually, I mean, I just feel like he was too big of a star and too. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I mean, a lot of people to blame on Dixie for him leaving. I mean, she wasn't taking care of the talent. You know, like if the sale had happened sooner, maybe that would have changed.
And they weren't like. How do you not pay AJ Styles what he's worth? Like, oh my God, are you serious?
But if you also think, I mean, he had been in TNA a long time. He'd been through a lot of changes. TNA had been through a lot of changes. He kind of revitalized himself, honestly, in New Japan.
Yeah.
With that run after he left, reestablished himself.
I think it's because of the matches he was having. You have good guys like Okada and Tanahashi. You want to wrestle more.
and you think about some of the stuff he went through in TNA after, when Hogan got there, and didn't they try to make him like Little Flair at one point?
Yeah, that was
all those kind of different things. And he goes to New Japan, he just wrestles, just destroys people.
Doesn't do a lot. Leads the Bullet Club, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's all you need. It went viral for that.
And then you come to WWE and get one of the best debuts of Roman Reigns at a Royal Rumbles.
One of the best rookie years ever. Yeah, one of your best first years in WWE ever too. When you think about it, so
my favorite meme that came out of that was someone made a meme of Roman's face. He said, "What's that sound?" And someone showed a picture of AJ. That's the sound of being over, Roman.
Yes, I remember that one.
That was so messed up, but it was so funny.
Well, let us know what you think out there of our top 10 list. What is your top 10 cinematic matches? Comment here below, tweet them at us, let us know. The debate rages on, and we had 14 that we looked at here. We each gave a top 10. There's going to be many more, at least one per month for the rest of the year, at least on the WWE side. So,
you know what? I don't know if we just kind of hit me. Was the Gargano Ciampa match, that final one, considered cinematic? I felt like they were presenting it like it was going to be, but
I don't know if it really was. Was it?
Yeah, I don't think it was.
I mean, as much as the backlot brawl, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would have put it very high anyways, because it just, it's not the ending I wanted to see to their feud.
Mm-hmm.
But, given the quarantine, but it just kind of popped into my head.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it kind of qualifies, but I don't know. Hard to say.
That's debatable too. I mean, maybe from the lighting, possibly I could see that because it was pretty dark the way they did that too. So.
Well, and I'm just thinking about the backlot brawl because then that also means Edge and Orton from WrestleMania, right?
That one was. I felt like that one was more shot like a Falls Count Anywhere match where it's just a live camera falling wherever they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's not so much cinematic. It's like the camera guy was trying to just get out of the way. Unlike the whole greatest wrestling match ever, where crowd noise was piped in, you could see
That was
camera
so-
cuts, and that sort of thing, and
Such a waste to a good match.
yeah, like there's little things that they did that they didn't have to do. If they'd just kept the natural sounds of it,
Yeah.
it'd have been fine.
Honestly, wouldn't the match have been just as good had they just not done any of that? Period. Just let them have a regular match.
Agreed. They
was a great
they were
match,
too
yeah.
worried about it living up to the whole greatest wrestling match ever persona that I think they over edited it.
Yeah.
So.
And like I said, I'm sorry. The names Kobashi, Misawa, Kawada were not in this match. It cannot be the greatest match ever. Get over yourselves, Vince.
Oh, sure. It always has to be from Japan, never the Canadians.
Oh, I can list some Canadian matches that are much better than that. Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith at SummerSlam that year. That match was
What?
phenomenal.
Only one person's Canadian, and they were in England. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what?
he's married to
I'm just
Canadian.
kidding.
He's married to Canadian. Does that kind of count?
Kind of.
Bret Hart's married to.
Well, I mean. Anyway, we'll move on to our 1 minute warning.
I missed a week. Sorry, guys.
No, it's welcome back.
You're still drunk from Cesaro
Well-
winning.
Back to the 1 minute warning, and Mike, you're going to kick this off. You mentioned earlier that you had something you wanted to talk about here with us, and you're going to start off here. So you ready to
Yeah,
go?
and that's going to swerve after all this fun we had.
All right, here we go then.
Go
Ready,
for it.
set, go.
Yeah, I'm wearing out a little bit on quarantine wrestling. I didn't really watch much this past week, other than knowing the House of Horror and Cesaro stuff won the tag titles, but it really is starting to get to me a little bit, the no fans stuff, and the PC fans at the WWE shows, they don't do anything for me anymore, and AEW always tries to have fun with their people, but I really just miss fans, and I was telling the guys before the show that I was showing my niece and nephew some wrestling matches this past week, and to see the crowd at Punk versus Cena at Money in the Bank, the Chicago crowd that was just behind Punk and booing Cena, and the electricity you feel off that, I miss it. I know we don't have much of a choice right now, but these matches, as good as these people are trying and put their heart into it, it just, I'm getting a little worn down with them. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right. I don't think you're alone in that feeling, honestly.
Yeah, we're probably not.
I mentioned that meme last week about how AEW fans like Raw wasn't that good, neither was SmackDown, and everyone's all NXT AEW. So I mean,
Yeah.
the funny part is like, at least for me personally, NXT AEW and Impact are like the ones that are kind of stepping up, I think, but as far as
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely doing their best to make it entertaining and try different things. It took Raw and SmackDown several weeks to find a groove that AEW just jumped right into.
Yeah.
AEW jumped right in with the people at the sides, with the other wrestlers. They had so much fun with it, and if you remember the first WWE shows, there were no fans. They had the chairs out.
Yeah.
It was empty. And then, a couple weeks later, they bring the PC people in and make them stand the whole time, which I've still never gotten why you can't just spread out chairs in that area.
I don't
And
get
possibly rumored has it like allowing certain fans in, but getting screened and then not allowing them to wear masks. Obviously, they're all wearing masks now. They finally realized there's some merchandising opportunity with it on top of that. So
that killed me right away. I was like, really? You're gonna make it? You Vince?
Yeah.
You didn't go with the idea of selling masks. You didn't go with that idea. Are you high?
I mean, Mustafa Ali has a cool mask when he comes to the ring. Like how he's not making money off of it. And obviously, that's one of the choices.
Vince is hanging out with Matt Riddle way too much. He's smoking too much of his.
It's like one of the great mysteries of the world. Why has Head and Shoulders not come out with a body wash called Knees and Toes? It's money, Prince money.
I'm a little mad that makes a lot of sense. I really am.
Now that they've watched this, they're like, "Holy crap!" Well, luckily no one else took it. We're going to do that too. So
I'm a little mad that the marketing for that kind of writes itself.
Yeah,
it really
exactly.
I'm legitimately upset about that right now.
It reminds me of an old George Carlin joke, and he said, "I'm gonna make a low-fat salad dressing and call it 500 Islands." So.
Damn it, that would work too.
Tommy, you got a 1 minute warning this week or no?
Yeah, sure. I got
All
one.
right, cool. Ready, set, go.
To the surprise of no one, I'm praising New Japan. So they had Sengoku Lord and Nagawa this past week, and shut up, Mike. I see you laughing. And it's just they're doing their best to keep energy up, fans entertained. Evil retained against Hiromu Takahashi, which led to Ishimori challenging Takahashi for the junior heavyweight belt, not tag titles, so it's just good to see New Japan back and having more fun with it. Some interesting news, though. New Japan is giving a leeway to their 6-month title reign defense clause. Usually, if you don't defend your title in 6 months, you're stripped. But they know the pandemic's happening, so they're giving, because I think Yo is injured right now, so he can't even tag with Show at the moment. And of course, Moxley's in the United States. But DDT and Pro Wrestling Noah are going to join together in a group called Cyber Fight and promote under one banner. What that means so far, I've heard, is there's still going to be separate companies, but they're going to start doing the same events a lot. So it'll be Cyber Fight, but the GHC heavyweight titles on the line, the DDT heavyweight titles on the line, that kind of thing. I know I went over a little bit. Yeah, I know I went over a little bit, but it's really cool because everyone's just I said this was going to happen. That company's going to start working together. It's hey, so this pandemic kind of screwed up all of our plans. You guys want to do some stuff? Yeah, let's do some stuff.
Tommy, I was just thinking real quick about what you were saying. So Moxley has had the right since before he has an AEW contract, but they allowed him to have a contract with New Japan.
Right.
Yeah.
You said there's some gaijin that are stuck here. Why not have a cinematic match somewhere with Moxley defending against
Jay White
or Kenta or Jay White?
Yeah.
My thing is because so everyone online, because they know so much about wrestling as well, and I'll give them this. They know that there's a clause in the contract that says that Tony Khan said Moxley can't defend it on TV in the United States, blah blah blah. And I'm yeah, and I want to argue with people about this, but I'm I don't have the energy to do this. So it's yeah, but guys, it's a pandemic, and everyone's kind of struggling right now. Even the infinite amount of money the Cons have, and I'm so convinced that $5 billion is just a made up number. They just have to say that for the IRS tax purposes. It's infinite. It's yeah, but there's also a pandemic going on, and everyone's kind of struggling right now. Mm-hmm. And maybe it can happen, but maybe it's you know what? It's not AEW. We do allow you to go there. And it's not necessarily on any kind of TV, and it's the New Japan World. Yeah, go face Tama Tonga somewhere.
You know what would almost be hilarious? You know how Air Force bases in other countries are considered American soil?
Right.
Yeah.
They should consider, don't they still have the New Japan dojo in LA?
Yep, that's what they've been doing.
Oh my God, that would be hilarious if they allowed them to consider that Japanese soil.
Yeah.
And go have matches over there.
That would be one loophole, a way to get around it, right?
Hey,
that'd just be funny.
Hey, Tony Khan's you can't defend it in America, but that New Japan dojo, does that even count?
As long as they stay inside the compound. Yeah, right.
Exactly. I think he likes wrestling enough to let it count.
Okay, here's my thing. If this was Vince, I would be yeah, there's no way that's ever going to happen. But Tony Khan, I think, is a slight bit more flexible. Case in point, Moxley can still go to Japan. Mm-hmm.
I think on Moxley's contract, it's more you can't work for promotion on American soil other than AEW. That's kind of the big thing. That's part of the big thing why he wasn't a part of any of the G4 shows that were in the United States. Right. He can only do the ones in Japan. So that's kind of the thing they're working out. And right now with him having the top title in AEW, I think they're trying to protect him as much as he can. Obviously with his wife having COVID previously, he's not trying to expose himself as much as he doesn't have to already. So I mean,
and see, the thing is with me with New Japan is I think they're considering that too. It's there's stuff going on. You probably don't want to run the risk of all that, but he could make because the Lions project that New Japan's been doing, it's been 2 or 3 matches every show that they just put on the network, and it's just for their young Lions to get some exposure. And. Maybe they could work it out where they just go to a guy's gym who could, just has a gym somewhere in Florida. Because I think Tama Tonga still lives there. Kenta still lives there for sure, I know. So, Kenta and Moxley just, have a match there. Could be a DQ finish. Could be a 10-minute exhibition match. Who cares? But, it's the thing is, I don't want to argue with people online about stuff because I'd rather be doing other things anyway. Yeah. It's like yeah, that's in the contract. That was in the contract in a world where COVID-19 didn't exist. COVID-19 has there is not one person's plans this did not destroy entirely to what they were going to do. I'm more than positive Evil winning a world title was at least a year down the line. It was not going to happen this year. There's no way. But then this popped up, and it had and it didn't have to happen, but it happened in a way that made sense, and it got people talking. And New Japan, everyone was like, "Hey, what happened over there?" So it could still happen. And maybe it won't. And if it doesn't, I won't say that's like Tony Khan or New Japan being unreasonable with each other. I won't say that because you never know what's happening behind closed doors. Because it's like when Pac didn't work for AEW right off the bat because he was with Dragon's Gate. To me, I understood where both sides stood on that issue. They were pushing Adam Page, and Pac didn't want to lose to him and look weak being Dragon Gate's champion. That makes sense for AEW. They want to push Adam Page. That makes sense for Pac. He doesn't want to disrespect the belt, and he doesn't disrespect Dragon Gate. Both sides agreed, like, hey, not the right time right now. Pac did his thing for a while, and Page did his thing.
And we're all good now.
Later. Yeah, we're all good now. I think people are too finalistic. If that's the way I can put it, it's like, oh, it doesn't happen. It's not going to happen at all. Well, no, He just said the conditions have to be right. It doesn't work out right now. Okay, it doesn't work out right now. You never know what could change tomorrow.
Right. I don't have a 1 minute warning this week. I just have a bit of homework for everybody out there that's watching. We have a couple weeks here before we start getting into talking about SummerSlam, and we're just kind of looking for ideas. Obviously, today we ranked cinematic matches. If you have an idea for another type of match you want us to rank, maybe a Money in the Bank match, a Hell in a Cell, like all the Hell in a Cell matches, any sort of thing like that, the Elimination Chamber matches, something like that. Whatever. Just kind of comment here, tweet them at us, let us know. We're looking for a couple ideas over the next 2 weeks because wrestling news. Go ahead, Mike.
Let's rank the WrestleMania main events 1 through 36 B. Because there's 2 nights.
I legitimately agree with the number you just said. 36. I find no fault in what you just said, my good sir, and I completely agree with you 100%.
I wasn't ready for that. That's funny.
That was really good.
That could be fun. So let us know. Comment here. Tweet him at us, our Twitter account, at @CCG_WrestleCast. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. If you're checking this out and you're new, hit the subscribe button. We're pushing content out every week because it keeps us sane with all the shit going on. And it's fun.
Yeah.
This is episode 95 of the WrestleCast. We're coming up on 100, so go ahead.
Cesaro!
Okay. And besides, every time we take a week off, something happens. It's like to the point we almost record that day anyway.
Yeah.
For the safety of all the wrestlers around the world, we must continue on.
Yeah.
We're doing this for you guys. For you.
Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Mike and Tommy, for joining. This was a lot of fun going through the cinematic matches and sharing some memories, because some of these things when I was making the list, I was like, man, I forgot about this one. How good these were.
Yeah, I actually forgot about like 2 or 3 of them until you posted the list. I was like, oh wow, I forgot that even happened.
Yeah, me too.
So anyway, for the Countdown City WrestleCast, over here we got Tommy.
Thanks, guys.
We got Mike.
Thanks, guys. Be good to each other.
And I'm JC, and as always, heels and baby faces, remember, pro wrestling is real.
People are
fake.
Nailed it.
Later.
So if you want to subscribe to the channel, click right here.
And if you want to watch more WrestleCast videos, I got 3 words for you. Click right here.